Let's dive deeper into today's market action with our markets reporters. Abigail gets us started.
Well, piggybacking on that idea of what investors and traders are waiting for Jay Powell to say tomorrow before Congress, the 10-year yield backing up 3 days in a row, up 11 basis points, telling you that either investors got it a little bit too far, too fast to the downside before that payrolls report last Friday, or perhaps the testimony will be a little bit more hawkish or neutral than dovish than expected. Either way, this chart that we've been looking at for weeks now is very much in play and suggests that we will see a bigger backup in rates. It's the 10-year yield over the last year for much of the year around 3%. And on the volatility of the fourth quarter, investors seeking the safety of bonds, the 10-year yield dropping this year on the more dovish tone of the Fed, the 10-year yield dropping right below 2% last week. But on that better than expected payrolls report, Emma, the 10-year yield back into this channel, suggesting we could see it go to the top of the channel, as has happened many times before. The RSI supporting that. Net, this chart supports the idea that we will see yields back up, perhaps that 10-year yield back toward 2.3%. It's going to be very exciting to see what Fed Chair Jay Powell does say tomorrow before Congress, Emma.
Abigail, equity investors will also be looking forward to what we hear from Jay Powell tomorrow. I was watching the S&P 500. We saw it there close in the green, in positive territory, breaking that two-day losing streak. It had looked like we were headed for a third down day, a third consecutive down day. Still, the gains are pretty small, and we're still seeing a fair amount of caution in the market. This, of course, dating back to Friday and that better than expected jobs report. That had the effect of dampening expectations of easier monetary policy. And of course, traders still expect a cut at the end of this month, but it seems they're less convinced about what the path will be after that. A string of rate cuts had really been seen as the next big catalyst to push the stock market rally higher. If that doesn't happen, a number of people saying now that they're not entirely sure what reasons there will be for investors to chase the market higher. That, of course, means that all eyes will be on Jay Powell when he speaks to Congress tomorrow. Renita.
I'm keeping an eye on dialysis providers, which decided to sink today after reports show that U.S. President Donald Trump would be unveiling a plan to overhaul the U.S. kidney disease market for treatments. And so we saw particularly DaVita Dialysis as well as Fresenius falling. DaVita fell as much as 8.7% during the session. That was the lowest or the most since 2 months. And Fresenius dropped. Right now, you can see that it's close to about 5%. And these two companies control the largest share of the U.S. dialysis market through vast networks. And what we know about President Trump's proposal is that he's encouraging more kidney treatment through home treatments and away from smaller clinics.